We are live, and it is Tuesday, June the 6th, and this is Wager Talk Today. It's live every Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Wager Talk TV, and of course, archived 24/7 for your viewing pleasure on Wager Talk TV on YouTube. I am Steve Merrill, filled in one final time for the Prez. Don't you worry, he'll be back tomorrow on Wednesday. And that's Teddy Covers, who's back after taking the day off yesterday to prepare for tomorrow on Wednesday. My co-host Teddy Covers. And Teddy, last chance we get to work together right now. We'll do it again sometime this summer, but who do we have on for Tuesday, June the 6th?
We're going to open up the show with Rob Veno. He's going to talk some MLB for today, Dodgers and Reds. He's also going to talk some NBA Finals Game 3 look ahead. We're going to talk Michael Porter Jr. props with Rob Veno. In What Bettors Learned, I'm going to talk about something, and there aren't that many things that happened to me 25 years in the business that have never happened before. Something happened on Sunday night, and we'll talk about it right here. Brandon Siefkin's going to join us next. He's going to talk the D-backs and the Nats. He's also going to talk a Pittsburgh Pirates strikeout prop for this evening, so a pair in MLB. Of course, in the BS segment, betting strategy. We're going to talk about separate bankrolls for futures wagers and how we record them record-keeping wise. Excellent question from Chris Lawrence. And then we'll close out the show with a view from the other side of the counter. Veteran oddsmaker Dave Sharapan joins us like he does just about every Tuesday throughout the year. We'll pick Dave's brain. Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? And all kinds of interesting stories from one of the best characters in the business. So let's get into it, my friend. Last chance for us to work together before Prez comes back tomorrow. So let's enjoy today while we can.
As Dave Sharapan will say, it's drama-free Tuesday. Just so you know, Teddy, Prez said, I go, are you hosting tomorrow? Because he initially told me through Wednesday, but now it's just through Tuesday, which is fine. And he said, yes, I'm back tomorrow. Best trip ever. So you have that to look forward to. I'm sure there'll be extra stories, and he'll be in a great mood. So tune in Wednesday, folks, tomorrow on Wednesday for Prez and best trip ever recap from the past couple weeks. Rob Veno, forgot to mention it's $2 Tuesday at wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com. And Rob is the $2 capper. Rob loves math, so I'll do some math. This is like over a 90% discount, Rob. It's that simple. It's $2 Tuesday. Welcome to the show. We'll talk about the $2 play in just a bit. We're also going to talk about Game 3 NBA tomorrow night on Wednesday in just a bit. But first, Rob, let's talk about some baseball because it's that time of year. That's where we're going to build our bankrolls on a daily basis. And you want to talk about the Dodger game. Let's talk about Dodgers at Reds, Rob. What are you looking at in this one?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys, or good morning to you, Teddy. Glad to have been lucky like you two to slide under the Prez returns wire here on Tuesday. So we'll get going here with Dodgers Reds. Line movement a little bit downward here this morning, guys, but I don't know that I understand why. The starting pitching matchup really seems to stick out to me. Tony Gonsolin, starter for the LA Dodgers, had a heck of a month of May. The 4 games that the Dodgers won with Gonsolin on the hill, they won by 9, 4, 5, and 6 runs, plus 24. A lot of run support for Tony Gonsolin. I think on the year they averaged 5.7 runs per game for him. But those 4 wins are by an average of 6 runs per game, which leads me to playing the run line here with the visiting LA Dodgers. Just to get through Gonsolin's May numbers, 1.95 ERA, 0.84 whip. If you want to just isolate him to his road performances this season, 1.35 ERA, 0.85 whip. So numbers are relatively equal, certainly as outstanding. And the 4 road games that he's thrown at Pittsburgh, at Milwaukee, at St. Louis, at Atlanta, you'll notice 3 of those are from the NL Central, as are the Cincinnati Reds. Pretty good stuff out of Tony Gonsolin. He goes up against a Cincinnati offense, which is not necessarily, their best asset is their on-base percentage. But certainly Gonsolin's season-long 0.90 whip could negate a lot of that on-base percentage here. Cincinnati, number 23 in WAR, number 20 in OPS, 22 in slugging, 22 in total bases. Kind of a punch and Judy type team. Very, very low slugging percentage for the Cincinnati Reds, and especially in Great American Ballpark. Seems a little bit surprising, but he's got an offense, I think, that's tailored to him here. The other side of the equation, not the same. Luke Weaver, who I guess betting money early must feel like maybe Luke Weaver's turning a corner, or maybe they expect some regression out of Tony Gonsolin. Although I think if you're trying to chase regression out of Tony Gonsolin, you've been chasing that for over a year now, and it hasn't necessarily shown up. Luke Weaver, one of the worst barrel rates, if you want to get into advanced analytics in Major League Baseball, in the bottom 15 percentile. That doesn't bode well against the Dodger offense. It's number 4 in slugging, number 4 in OPS. They do hit the long ball. They do get the better part of the bat on the ball. And Luke Weaver tends to give that up a little bit. He's given up a home run every 4 innings so far this season. That's not great. OPS allowed to his opponents at home, 878. Opposing OPS to right-handed hitters, 961. So I feel like the Dodgers are going to have a lot of success in what's good weather in Cincinnati, coming off the 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. Maybe, guys, there's some Cincinnati sentiment because it was a Dodger-Yankee series where the Dodgers lost 2 out of 3, and maybe an expected hangover from some who have played Cincinnati. But with a day off, I don't believe so. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the 1.5 runs here. Minus 120, I think, was the number. Obviously, we have the visiting team, so we get the 9 at-bats. And the Dodger bullpen, really good at closing things out. One more note on the Dodger bullpen that probably doesn't get talked about or recognized as much. Their inherited runners scored percentage, is the best in Major League Baseball. They've only allowed 20% of inherited runners to score. So when these relievers come in to innings where the bases are jammed up, they get out of it pretty clean. I like LA minus the 1.5 runs here.
So you talked about the Dodgers' struggles this past weekend against the Yankees. That isn't new or different. The Dodgers are now, 8-10 in their last 18 games. They're playing mediocre baseball. The markets, as always, lag a little bit behind, have been slow to adjust to LA's mediocrity. Is this just a blip on the radar for the Dodgers? Or, it's now, the better part of the last 3 weeks where they're sub 500 team. Is this something to be concerned about for LA, even in a matchup like this one?
Yeah, Teddy, it's probably teams go through those. I could point to Cincinnati losing 4 of the last 5 as well and say that they're going through a negative slump right now. I would expect the Dodgers to snap out of it quicker than Cincinnati would, but I played matchup solely here. Dodgers offensively, like I say, especially those first 4, very strong slugging team against the pitcher that they're going to face here who gives up the long ball. So I think I played more matchup than current form. However, I think anytime you're in a bit of a slump for LA 8-10, you do worry somewhat about it. But the other side is not playing red hot baseball either. So I think that negates itself a little bit. And where run line is concerned, both of these teams, and you want to point out the positives for Cincinnati. They've been a good run line team as well. But again, those two seem to negate each other. So if I just take the assets versus the liabilities here, LA's got a way longer list in this game than Cincinnati does.
The Dodgers, of course, Rob, for several years now have been either playing minus 1.5 run line or play the other team outright at plus money underdog. And in the last 11 games, only once have the Dodgers won by exactly 1 run. And in fact, 4 of their last 5 wins have been by 2 runs or more. So instead of laying the minus 170, lay the 1.5 minus 120 Dodgers run line, says Rob Veno. That goes at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight on Tuesday. Once again, $2 Tuesday, WagerTalk.com. And Rob's got a powerful MLB best bet for just $2 tonight. And he is on a run, 15-4. 79% hot streak in MLB. So not a bad time to get Rob Veno's top MLB best bet for Tuesday for just $2 at wagertalk.com. Rob, baseball show will be on at 2 Eastern today. It's on daily here on WagerTalk TV. The NBA show will return tomorrow on Wednesday at 4:15 Eastern for Game 3. But let's take a little advanced preview of Game 3 between the Nuggets and Heat. Looking at a player prop, and this is a guy I actually talked about in my video over the weekend. I thought he'd have a good game, had a little bit of a subpar game. Michael Porter Jr., do you think he bounces back with some numbers here in Game 3 on Wednesday night?
Yeah, I played him too, Steve. I've been riding Michael Porter Jr. for maybe the last 3 or 4 games, and it was a client release that went bad last game. However, I don't have any hesitation bouncing back with it, especially since the odds makers have again adjusted downward. They had pushed it up to 23.5, his points and rebounds total. What I'm speaking about here. They'd push it up to 23.5 because he had done it in 7 of the previous 9 games. Did not do it last game, so that makes it 7 out of 10, 70% if you've been playing over 21.5, which is the newly established number here for this game. And like I said, I'm not really scared off of it, Stephen. I'm glad that the numbers come down. MPJ, certainly we saw Miami make defensive switches in that particular game, right? Much has been made out of. I don't have to get deep into detail about Miami making Jokic a scorer rather than a passer and defending the other guys around the perimeter. When you look at the other four starters on the team, really the best and most advantageous matchup goes to Michael Porter Jr. You often see him guarded on the floor by guys like Kyle Lowry or Gabe Vincent, guys where he just towers over from a shooting perspective and from a rebounding perspective. And that's what we're playing here, points and rebounds. He looked to me to be a little bit tentative or maybe even confused at what was going on out there the other night, but they've had 48 minutes to look at this defensive strategy. It's that time of the series now, right, where it's point counterpoint strategy adjustment made by these head coaches. And I think Michael Porter Jr., a guy who has the green light from his teammates and from his head coach, will probably come out and shoot it here and probably a little bit better. I tried to look for a difference, guys, in his road and home performances throughout the playoffs. There are none. He's good on the road. He's good at home. He's bad at home. He's bad on the road. So it really doesn't make a difference that this game is in Miami. He only came up with 6 boards last game, which is under his average of 9.1 throughout the playoffs. I'd expect him to be a little more aggressive on the boards. He only took 8 shots from the field. That was his lowest shot attempt total through these entire playoffs. So again, he had been taking 12 a game. You expect him to get back to the norm in both of those categories, rebounds and field goal attempts. If he does so, I think 21.5 is certainly an easy enough number to eclipse. He's been poor shooting threes the first 2 games of this series. However, we saw Max Strus, a guy who had been poor shooting threes for 7 or 8 games straight, come out like a house of fire. So these shooters are shooters. They're going to come back and shoot well. I expect him to here. I think that this game probably results in something more like game 1, where he had 14 points, 13 rebounds. And I think it's a good spot to take advantage of what's, to me, is kind of an overcorrection here, going from 23.5 all the way down to 21.5. I think over this adjusted number, the right way to go. You have to lay 25-cent juice with it, but that's the way I'm going to do it. Michael Porter Jr. over 21.5 points and rebounds combined, minus a quarter.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't play under for Michael Porter Jr., but I have to ask you, Rob.
Yeah.
43 minutes in game 1, then only 26 minutes in game 2. It wasn't foul trouble. It was matchups. And Malone sat him in spots where he's been playing him. Do we worry at all about MPJ's minutes going down in a real way? Again, he played 17 fewer minutes in game 2 on the floor. If that happens here, is that a problem with this over?
Yeah, I think that was more of a message than a minutes problem in this game, Teddy. I think Michael Porter Jr., throughout his career, can be lackadaisical on defense, can be lackadaisical out on the floor. And anybody who heard Mike Malone's post-game press conference, this is a guy who over the years, we kid about it a lot on the NBA tip-off show. He's got no problem throwing his entire team under the bus in a motivational way. He's done it before. He just did it again after game 2. And I think those types of things, like benching Michael Porter, not benching, but reducing his minutes in favor of Bruce Brown off the bench. I think that's more of a message as to you need to get out there and play. I expect Michael Porter Jr. to receive the message and get his minutes back. So I'll tell you what, if it goes sour for him, Teddy, in the first half, then I probably lose this bet because maybe we see exactly what you're talking about. I just don't expect it to.
Yeah, excellent follow-up question, Teddy, because as I said, this is a guy I'd focused on in game 2 of my videos. I thought he'd have a big night matchup-wise, but you're right. I mean, he did not get the minutes. In fact, to put it in perspective, last game against the Lakers, game 4, game 1 against Miami, he had 32 shot attempts, 21 three-point attempts. He had only 8 shot attempts, 1 for 6 from 3. I think that's another reason he didn't play more, is he was not shooting well, just 1 for 6 from 3. So that's a little bit of a risk there, but otherwise I agree. Porter points and rebounds over makes a lot of sense in game 3. That's Rob Veno. Once again, NBA tip-off show tomorrow on Wednesday at 4:15 Eastern. Also Friday here on the network. Baseball show on a daily basis here as well. Rob, $2 Tuesday. Have a huge baseball play on a 15-4 run. Tell us about it for Tuesday night.
Yeah, up and available right now, Steve. $2 handicapper for today. The baseball has gone very well, season wide as well. 60% season so far, up around 26 units of profit. And what's been a sort of a slower pace for me. I have not been the high volume baseball handicapper that I had been in the past. Took a slower approach this year. It's paid off, and we have a big play today up and available. It's our 4% diamond best bet. Again, it's $2 Tuesday, so go ahead and check it out at wagertalk.com.
Rob Vino, strong baseball best bet for Tuesday night for just $2 because it's $2 Tuesday at wagertalk.com. And Teddy, don't forget about sportsmemo.com. It's an even better deal. It's $1.50 Tuesday because you get two best bets for just $3 at sportsmemo.com right now. Ross Benjamin, by the way, has a $2 NBA Finals 5% top play, and Kevin Thomas has a 5% MLB hidden treasure. They're each two or get them both for three. That works out to $1.50 Tuesday at sportsmemo.com. Teddy and Marco filled in for you yesterday. It was a nice show here, but we haven't had a chance for you and I to talk about Game 2 NBA Sunday because I didn't see you yesterday. Game 3 we just talked about, but did you enjoy watching Game 2? I know you had a big 5% winner on the Miami Heat Sunday night. Sat back with a beer in your lounge chair and watched it, I assume?
I watched it on Monday night, well
Oh,
after it was done, before I came in for game two. Let me talk about something. I mean, it's not bizarre because it was planned. Nonetheless, it was incredibly bizarre. 25 years in Vegas, I never remember this happening before. So I thought it was at least interesting enough to talk about. All right. So I have a 5% big ticket play on Miami on Sunday night. Love the spot, love the situation, love the quotes. I've had a good read on the Heat. I've had a good read on the Nuggets. I loaded up on that play. But Sunday night was the only night that Isaac and I, once a year, my son and I go camping, and then we have this hike that we do up a mountain the next morning, and that's what we do. We do it once a year, and this was the night that we could do it. So Sunday, instead of watching the game, I'm driving up to the mountains and camping. All right. Now, I thought maybe I'd get a signal, maybe something. There's nothing up there. All right. It's not like I'm going to be able to ask somebody else camping, oh, yeah, you know what the score of the Heat game is? Nothing, dude. I'm going crazy. I'm literally, I mean, I do not ever remember being as nuts about like not knowing a score as this game. And I'm sitting there, I couldn't, I mean, okay, so I know the game's over. I'm trying, we have the campfire going. I put Isaac to bed. And I'm like, should I drive down? I'm like, no, you'll be able to sleep. You'll do it in the morning. You can find, I can't, it might have been the worst night's sleep I've ever had. I mean, part of it's camping on the ground, but I could not sleep, dude. I was just tossing and turning, thinking about the game. What's the score? What happened? I don't know, because you don't know. Monday, you wake up, and now we got to climb this mountain. There's no service up there either, dude. So all day Monday, we're going, and it's a hike and a half. I mean, I'm gassed. I got nothing left in the tank. It's real. Finally, get back to the car, driving in. I'm like, check your internet. Check your internet. I'm going to check all the whole way down. We drive halfway down. There's internet. Like, find the score. What's the Heat? What's the score? He's like, Miami 111, 108. I'm like, yes! We have the big woo woo in the car. But I cannot think of a time where I had a 5% big ticket play and I couldn't watch the game and I had no access to the score. And it was like mid-afternoon the next day before I figured out whether I'd won or lost a wager. I didn't enjoy it. I'm not doing it again if I could help it. Yeah, it was like the stress of not knowing what's going to happen. Just add an extra 24 hours to that. All's well that ended well. And of course, last night we got to sit down and watch the game before we make a bet on game 2 or game 3. We got to watch game 2. So we were able to do that last night. But you remember a situation like that, Steve? I was racking my brain. I know I've gotten on planes sometimes. Like back in the day, I got on a plane when I had a big. Then that was before you could watch the game on the plane. But when you got off the plane, okay, boom, there's the score. You're waiting 4 hours or 5 hours. You're not waiting a day. That was awful. Then again, it won, so I can't complain too much.
Teddy, had I known you're going to be off the grid, I would have overnighted my old sports pager to you. You probably could have gotten a satellite signal with
There's
that.
nothing there. There's nothing.
I think that was satellite. That might have worked, actually. I think that was satellite back in the day. The ESPN flip phone would not have worked. The score phone, the old ESPN flip phone would definitely not. Although it might have gotten a better signal. Who knows? The old 2G stuff works better than the 5G now. Yeah, look, I do things a little different now. As you know, I watch a lot less games I did back 20 years ago, and almost find it refreshing. I kind of feel I get a better feel for things. We talked about cutting the cord last week. I like the DVR games. That's one of the main reasons I've kept the boxes and the cords because I do like to watch things on replay in a more efficient way. And I will say this: I do not enjoy living and dying by every play, every tick of the stock market, and I've come to realize my emotional well-being is better. And it's a quick ripping off the band-aid. You either win or lose, and then you can recap the game. Also, watching it afterwards, Teddy, I'll ask you this. I find it's actually a more useful rewatch, when you're not sweating the game real time. What was your take on that, watching it afterwards as opposed to kind of learning from it as it was playing live?
I'd rather watch it live. I'll sit through the commercials. Look, that's when,
Right, but you
that's
see my
24 hours
point,
like
but you already knew the result.
excruciating, dude.
Right, but watching it afterwards, knowing the result, as far as gleaning information from it, did you find that different than your normal process?
Probably, but at the same time, I mean, you're not sweating the result. Now you're watching matchups and you're watching
That's my
adjustments and
point,
that sort of
right.
thing. Yeah, so I watch a lot of games that I'm not betting on. And I tend to watch more games that I'm not betting on, and I turn in and I focus on my game during the key stretch. Watch my game in the fourth quarter, or we got bases loaded. Hey, we got to focus on this game. So I tend to watch a lot of games that I'm not betting on to glean that information, because you do glean it cleaner in a game where you're not sweating one side or the other. But
Correct.
I mean, yeah, I watch it. Yeah, I think I got something from it. In fact, I'm locked and loaded with a 5% big ticket play for Game 3 of the NBA. Look,
camping.
My NBA's big tickets have been ridiculous, dude. They're 24-6 over the last 2 years, or 80. Anytime I can hit 4 out of 5 long term, and you're seeing something, yeah, I thought it was worthy of stepping up for Game 3 as well. There aren't that many more opportunities this NBA season. So, yeah, I think I did gain something from watching it, but I'd rather watch it live. And I never want to sit through, like, when you wake up the next morning, you still don't know. I don't ever want that again. That was no fun. Really wasn't.
What's funny to me, Teddy, if there was anybody else telling this story and you were just to read the transcript, you'd be like, man, this guy should not be betting. Because I couldn't sleep all night trying to figure out the result. Because I know you're a professional handicap.
It's a 5% big ticket, man. Yeah.
I know, but you get my point, though. I know you know what you're doing and your money management is correct, but for 99% of the people in that situation that can't sleep at night or gleaming for a cell phone score, you'd be like, man, these guys are living a little too tight. But no, it's obviously you've got a lot of clients. You've got hundreds, if not thousands, of clients following the play as well. So that's why there's also a little bit of added pressure when we have a 5% play, because you're not just doing it for yourself. But yeah, it's a great story. Poor Isaac. I hope you enjoyed the camping trip still. You got a nice hike.
Great
still.
time.
Good.
Yeah,
That's what matters to me.
The camping part of it was fine. The hike was great. All good. The only thing that wasn't good was not knowing that frickin' score, and it was making me crazy, dude. Because you can't, you don't recognize how much like that one score is going to affect your balance. It affected it more than I thought it would.
When Tokyo Brandon, I want to bring Brandon on because he's a former MLB baseball scout. And of course, he's a great Asian baseball handicapper. And Tokyo, I mean, when you're watching a game you have a bet on, as opposed to a game, I'm sure you scout all the other games since you did it for a living. Do you feel like you see it cleaner when you're not emotionally involved, or is it the other way around?
You obviously see it cleaner when you're not involved. And this story actually reminds me of something when I was in college. It was before the advent of the internet. I was in a fantasy football league, and I didn't know the results of my fantasy football league until someone actually printed them and sent them by mail to everybody, and we got it on Tuesday.
Sure.
So, long time ago. I'm aging myself.
That's something all three of us can relate to, being back in the 90s. So we have the crossover pre and post internet. Brandon, you do a great job with
Teddy,
Asian baseball.
With that would be brutal, not knowing the result of a big play until the next until like 24, 48 hours later. That would be brutal. I would have driven down and just checked the score and driven back. Say, sorry, Isaac.
That would have guaranteed you lost
boy up there by himself, dude. I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave him up there. And I got to be, and you got to be smiling for. You can't let that internal affect your. Hey, this is our day. We're climbing this mountain that we do. It's, it's like a thing. So you have to be able to compartmentalize it. And I'm really bad at compartmentalizing.
Some wolf might come to the tent or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, Teddy, had you driven down the hill, that would have guaranteed that Denver won by 20, and you knew it. You knew it. Murphy's
Exactly.
Law was in full effect there.
That's
So that was a good
exactly
emotional
right.
hedge. It worked out for Teddy and the camping trip. And Brandy, you do a great job with Asian baseball, both Korean, especially Japanese, but you also do MLB. So let's talk some MLB. Diamondbacks are my
Yeah.
former Washington Nationals. What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, I'm number one in MLB profit the last 30 days at WagerTalk. So MLB is running really hot. I just won my 5% play yesterday on the Rays, and I have two 4% plays in MLB available today. And I have a special offer. They put it up yesterday and it expired, but I begged the office to leave it up for one more day, and they did. So I'll get to that promo at the end of this segment. But yeah, let's talk Diamondbacks and Washington Nationals. So the Diamondbacks suddenly have found some bats this season. I think Rob touched on it, but they are finding their bats this season and they're hitting quite well. But to me, what stands out in this is how horrible Washington's bullpen has been the last 7 days or the last 10 days. So if you look at the Nationals the last 10 days, their bullpen collective FIP is 7.37, which is just unheard of. It's awful. The Diamondbacks don't have a great bullpen either. It's like 4.45 collective FIP. Not great. That stands out. But what also stands out is the starters. Jake Irvin has been awful in his last 4 starts. In 3 of them, he's given up 4 runs or more. He gave up 2 to the Padres a couple weeks ago, which was decent. But the starters, Henry's just head and shoulders above Jake Irvin. The bullpen for the Diamondbacks is head and shoulders above the Nationals. And the hitting, fairly even, actually. The Nationals actually hit quite well, which is a small red flag. But I think the other intangibles will make up for that small difference and make that quite negligible. So I'm all over the Diamondbacks here on the money line. I think the line is too short, and I like the Diamondbacks today.
So Arizona's bullpen just cost me another winner with a blown save opportunity on Sunday while I was up in the mountains.
They
Game
do
where
that.
they gave up a grand slam home run in the ninth. This has happened a lot for Arizona. You talk about a bullpen that we don't trust. Arizona's bullpen for a contending team, for a team that's overachieved early, Arizona might have the weakest pen out there. How much you worry about their own bullpen issues here, especially in a situation where you're laying a price?
Yeah, I hear you. It's kind of a lesser of two evils because they are both kind of evil. But Washington's is worse, believe it or not. And I just went over the collective FIP numbers in the last 10 days. There's almost a full 3-run difference between these bullpens. So yeah, Arizona's is not that good, I admit, but Washington's is worse. And I think the discrepancy in the starting pitching here will give Arizona enough of a lead to make that lesser of two evils less of a factor. So I still like the Diamondbacks here. It's a 3% client play for me. Like you said, the bullpen is bad, and if their bullpen was a little bit better, I probably would have more confidence in a 4 or 5% here. But given that, I still think they'll have a lead going into the 5th, going into the 6th. I think they'll be up by 2 or 3 runs. So it'll make it a little bit less negligible. And like I said, lesser of two evils. I think Diamondbacks prevail here.
Tokyo Brandon, Asian baseball and MLB baseball, and that's a actual 3% client play on the D-backs from Tokyo. Now a actual 4% client play on a prop, I believe. What are you looking at?
Yeah, Rob touched on the Pirates game, and I'm going to go to that as well. I mean, Mitch Keller is one of the most prolific strikeout artists in MLB. And if you look at his stats in his last 6 starts, he has 8, 8, 8, 13, 8, 8. So pretty consistently striking out 8 per game in his last 6 starts. if you throw in a little 13 in the mix as well. So great strikeout artist here. So next thing you want to look at is how often do the A's strike out? So if you take a look at strikeouts by team, they strike out the 5th most in MLB. They're averaging 9.31 strikeouts per game. Minnesota is actually leading that list at 10.2 per game. Then it's the San Francisco Giants, Seattle, the Cubs, and then Oakland's right up there in the top 5. So, put 1 and 1 together. I think 6.5 strikeouts is way too low for Mitch Keller, considering he's averaging 8, as I said, with a 13 mixed in. I mean, he should be able to get 7 strikeouts here by the 4th or 5th inning. And he generally goes into the 7th inning in his starts. So I really like Mitch Keller to go over 6.5. There's a little bit of juice on it. Last time I checked, it was minus 155. Could be between minus 155, minus 160. But I think it's easy money in this case. And even if that strikeout, it's juiced to the over. So if it goes to 7.5, I'm still confident we could hit that. So don't hesitate to play on that. At 6.5, that's a 4% play for me. If it goes to 7.5, drop it to 3%, but I would still play the over 7.5 strikeouts for Mitch Keller today versus the A's.
So just real quick, when we look at Keller's season, I mean, the guy was as dominant as anyone for about a 9-start span, where he gave up literally 2, 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, and 1 earned runs. His last 2 starts, he's been hit hard both times. He still went 6 full innings both times, but we're talking about 17 hits, 10 runs allowed, a couple of dingers. Are we seeing signs that maybe Keller has peaked? Or is this a guy that you think is going to go the bet on all the way, despite those recent struggles?
Yeah, with Keller, it's feast or famine. And yeah, I mean, feast or famine, meaning he's going to K the batter or he's going to give up some serious contact. And the alarming thing is he's given those runs up to 2 lineups that are not exactly prolific hitters, San Francisco and Seattle. So, if you look at his career numbers, he is outpitching himself a little bit this season. But that's why I like the strikeout prop, because I don't care if he gives up runs as long as he strikes out some batters. So I'm all over the 6.5. But I agree with you, Teddy. I think he's pitching a little over his head, but he still is a strikeout master. So you can ride him with the strikeouts and just allow the occasional home run. Say, oh, well, no big deal. Some batters will get to him, but I still think he gets his strikeouts because he's consistently striking out 8 per start.
Brandon Siefkin, Tokyo Brandon, former scout, now baseball handicapping expert, both Asian baseball and American baseball. And Brandon, you mentioned the promo code that expired yesterday. So this is a true flash sale because they extended it for one day and one day only. This is the last chance to save $1,000 off a full year of Brandon's plays and get everything for roughly $2.50 a day. TB 1000, Tampa Bay 1000. There's the flash. Tokyo Brandon, the Flash. He got from Tokyo to America to do the show because he's the Flash. Brandon, tell us more about that package.
By the way, that picture is when I was a senior in high school. Look at my porcupine hair. That's awesome. I did have the porcupine going on back then. And I did have a nice mullet in the back. I did have a nice mullet too, down to my shoulders. So yeah, TB 1000, you can get $1,000 off on a year, a full year of my plays. I'm number 1 in the last 30 days in MLB profit. I am number 2 all sports profit in the last 30 days as well. So it's probably good value. Running hot. So use TB1000. Go to my page at WagerTalk.com and find the 1 year package. It's about $2.40 a day. You will make that back quite easily. So thanks, guys.
Not a bad investment. TB1000. This is the only day to use it. Flash sale for Tokyo Brandon at WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, going to do a quick viewer question here in 30 seconds and then get to Dave Sharapan. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Welcome to the new Top 3 3-Day $30 special. The front page leaderboard at WagerTalk has become the go-to first stop spot. While being at the top of the 3 and or 7-day rankings is an honor, being on top of the leaderboard over the last 30 days is a symbol of greatness. And we want to share that greatness with you. So for the first 3 days of every month, the top 3 leaders in profit, winning percentage, and return of income will have a 7-day all-access pass available at a 30-day savings. Regularly priced at $99, you can grab 7 days with any or all 3 leaders for just $69 each. So on the first of every month, head to Deals tab on the top of WagerTalk.com to find out which of our red hot handicappers will have their 7-day all access packages available for under $10 per day.
Prez free zone for one more day, but there's still plenty of opportunity to talk some BS on a daily basis. And once again, the Prez will be back tomorrow. So it's my last chance, Teddy covers, for you and Steve Merrill to do a viewer question. And by the way, we got a ton of questions. Came in late last night. I found this one on the replay on YouTube, and about 3 or 4 more good ones came in. I did answer those in the comments. So once again, leave your comments on the YouTube page, Wager Talk TV, in the comments below. We will answer them in person or answer them on the show. And I'm going to forward the extra questions, by the way, to Teddy and Prez so they can use them later in the week if needed. All right, Teddy, Chris Lawrence has a good one. He says, should we have a separate bankroll for futures wagers? And he also asked basically, how do you record them? Like if you make the wager in August and the result is in January, which year do you put it on? So kind of a 2-part question. Should we have a separate bankroll for futures wagers? And how do you record them in your record keeping?
So I record them in my record keeping. I'll answer the second question first. That's a piece of that season's, I'll put it in that season's spreadsheet, and I will track the results for the season that the bets were made for, whether it's season win totals, whether it's odds to win something, whether it's odds to lose something, whatever it is. That's going to go in my spreadsheet with the results on a daily basis. I'm not keeping a separate future spreadsheet. I do grade them separately after the season. But the results count with the results of whatever season you're betting those futures for. Now, should you have a separate bankroll for futures wagers? An interesting question. And the answer is probably, but nobody does. Or very few people do. In theory, yeah. You want to have this is for your daily or your weekly sports. And then you have some different money set aside for your longer term wagers, for your futures wagers. But the reality is, you got money in this account, you got money in that account, you got money in the other account. It's not actively being managed in a way that this is separate for this and that's separate for that. So in theory, yes, the logistics of actually keeping a specifically separate bankroll just for future wagers may be more trouble than it's worth. Steve?
Yeah, I love this question because I agree with what you're saying. The 2 keys to winning aren't picking the right side or total. The 2 keys to winning are money management and shopping for line value. I've always said that. So you want to have multiple accounts, as many sportsbook accounts as possible to get those extra half points for free whenever possible. And that means you're going to kind of have your bankroll spread out. But I do love the concept of having a separate bankroll for futures because one of the big problems with future wagering is that it's tying your money up for 6, 7, 8, 9 months sometimes before you get a return on it. So I think from a record-keeping perspective, it's not a bad idea to keep those wagers separate because theoretically you need to have a higher win percentage, a higher return on investment when your bankroll is being tied up for 9 months interest-free by the sports books. So I think it's very important to chart the differences between your daily plays and your future wagers. And over several years, if you're not making money with futures, it's not worth tying that money up for an extended period of time. I think you need to have a higher edge with future bets to make it worthwhile. So there again, having a separate bankroll. You could say you have a $10,000 bankroll. You could say I'm going to put 1,000 towards futures and use the other 9,000 for daily bets that whole football season, for example, isn't a terrible strategy, and you could still spread that among numerous sports books. Teddy, any other follow-up before we get to Dave?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about it. Like when it comes to future book bets, all right, you tend to make those bets before season starts. Right? For me, at least, I'm betting a lot of season wins. So I tend to make those bets before the season starts or very early in the season. I'm not making nearly as many future book bets later, which leads to potentially some cash flow issues, particularly when it comes to making basketball bets. Because your baseball bets haven't all been graded yet, and your football bets are all out there. and now you're trying to bet basketball bets, preseason basketball bets. And that becomes difficult when you're talking about keeping separate bankrolls for that particular time of the year, because you ain't going to be that liquid because your other bets haven't cashed yet. So that is one other concern for having a completely separate bankroll for future book wagers.
But it's also a reason you could say I'm going to have 1,000 for football, 1,000 for basketball futures, and as Dave Sharapan might do, 1,000 for NHL hockey futures. So it's actually a decent reason to have two bankrolls, and then you know what you need on a daily basis, maybe Dave, for the daily plays if you have a little bit of a hot or cold streak. What are your thoughts, Dave Sharapan? Sportsbook.
What's up, guys?
Geek
I like the Prez free zone. Good to see both of you. We're working here on a Tuesday. I like it, a flex Tuesday on that. As far as record keeping, I heard Theodore and I said, you know what? Everybody keeps the records differently too. So however you keep it your way. There's no one way to do it. And I like Teddy's way of keeping it with the season. Forget about the year.
Yeah.
Football season runs through football season, and then you close football season when football season's done in the following year, calendar-wise, but it's in February. It counts football season. The calendar in the sports book goes football season into basketball season for those hockey guys, it's basketball and hockey season, and then it's baseball season. So there's 3 seasons, basically. Is it 4? I don't know.
It's like a school year, Dave, right? We talk the season, like the sports betting year starts in August.
Perfect.
Just like school,
Yes.
or August, September. And it runs through the
Physical
summer.
year.
And that's, yeah. I mean, that's how I think of it. I always have.
Fall, spring, summer. There you go. Perfect. And then as far as bankroll, that's a great idea to kind of separate it. I've never really done that. It's one bankroll for all the betting, and then you kind of just grade it when you grade it. I like betting some of the futures later in the season, Teddy. I like getting those exacta prices. They come out later. They fluctuate a lot more later. So I think if you keep that separate bankroll, that can be a strength because you'll know you're not going into the regular bankroll. So, but again, everybody's different. I love this question from the people kind of segment because
Chris Lawrence.
we take it for granted. Like we've been doing it so long, we take it for granted how we do it. And I'm reminded of that now that I'm not in a book every day like I used to be and working and answering these questions. It's good to take those questions. So well done, both of you.
Dave, where do you want to jump? NHL, NBA Finals? What do you want to talk about?
Well, everybody's talking about Vegas and winning the Stanley Cup game 2 the way they did yesterday. Series is over. I would just caution everybody that thinks the series is over to just relax a little bit. Teams have lost the first 2 games before and won the Stanley Cup. So all of you Florida Panthers futures holders, series price holders, and the 3 of you that consider yourself Florida Panther fans, everybody relax, okay? We're planning a parade here in Vegas, although we don't have a road to do it on. The Strip is a complete mess. Teddy, I don't know where they're going to do a parade here in Vegas. Do you have an idea? What are you doing? What?
Every road between the southern part of Las Vegas and Center Strip is under construction. Like 100% of them right now. There are traffic jams everywhere for everything. You can't get anywhere right now. It's not going anywhere. So, yeah, that'll be fun on the Strip for the parade. If you can get there.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it's going to be on the Strip. I think they're going to do it in downtown Summerlin and parade right to the practice facility and then take everybody to the ballpark for a kind of celebration. No? What?
No, well, know what we just did. The parade, it's coming. Series price right now, Vegas minus 550, minus $6. Take back on the Panthers plus 425 in that range. Game 3 price, Florida minus 120, total of 6. Do you bet the Panthers right now for the series in game 3? Do you bet Vegas? What do you do right now with the current?
Well, if you think the Panthers are going to win game 3, I think you bet them both, right? You get the best price that you'll get on the Panthers if you bet them now in the series and think they still have a shot, which they do, if they win game 3, because it goes back down, it gets cut in half. So, yeah, I would just caution on that. I mean, all these people planning a parade route, but you're right. Traffic is an absolute mess. Getting around town right now is terrible. This F1 race is coming in November, and it is messing everything up. So
We hate them already.
oh, it's tough. It's just we've now become LA as far as traffic. You have to leave an hour to get anywhere where you used to be able to get anywhere in about 15 to 20 minutes. It's an hour now. So I know driving's stressing me out, not like this show.
Yeah, Dave, a lot of people thought the NBA series was over too when it was 1-0. And in fact, the Nuggets were like minus 800, even more than this 2-0 series price because the Heat were like plus 600. So, what are your thoughts on NBA
Right.
Finals now heading back to Miami? We don't get that 0-2 home team like we thought we might get in game three.
No, we get them tied 1-1. And
Right.
look at that series price. They're still favored. Denver's what, minus 270, minus 280? What if they lose game three? What's the series price? This would be one of those ones I'd be sitting in the risk room going, guys, what are we doing? Because what if Denver doesn't win game three? Now we're back into the corner. So I don't know. I think it's a little inflated. Obviously, Miami had an unbelievable fourth quarter. I mean, being down 15 during the game, down 9 going into the fourth. They shot the lights out. I don't know if they can shoot that. So extreme, right? They shot so bad the first game, and you knew them taking them plus the points in the second game felt like the right play. You caught it good on the money line, especially if you're doing it in game. It was big prices. I don't know. Miami's live, aren't they? Like I get the feeling that as good as Denver is, them taking that show on the road, they're coming back at Denver split, right? It's going to be 2-2 with a best of 3 series. That's the way I look at it.
Dave Sharapan at SportsBKConsig on Twitter. One of the best follows out there. He's always got great videos.
Thank you, Teddy.
Walking in the park, talking about
Almost
games.
stepped in it the other day. Almost stepped in it the other day, Theodore. They almost got me. Nobody. If you take your dog to the park, you got to pick it up. I don't know whose it was, but they left it there, and I came this close to stepping in it. Had to do a video.
I'm taking the over on the number of times in the park you stepped in something. That being said, we got just a minute left with you, Dave. I do want to touch on a little MLB. We've talked NHL and NBA. Talk to me about today's baseball card. Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? Who do you like when it comes to Tuesday evening baseball?
I bought this special edition hat. I don't know if you could see it. This is a Pirates hat from about, I think it's 1959 All-Star game. This is what the emblem was like. But it's pretty sweet. You know, I was coming on here today to talk about the Pirates being in first place. It's June 6th, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are in first place. That's the only thing I wanted to talk about. Are you kidding me? They're playing the Oakland A's, who are the worst team in baseball. Historically bad. Ralph's tweeting every morning, putting these trends and numbers and all this other stuff. The Pirates are playing the A's. All right. I mean, sometimes, so I'm doing some videos for the Pirates, and I said this morning when I did it. Everybody knows the words to the song, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Today, I want to be with the crowd, Teddy. Pirates, money line, and Mitch Keller, K-props over. The guy's done it like 7 games in a row. All right. Pirates, Keller, K-props over. That's all I got for you. We only got a minute left. You guys took up all the other time. Goodbye. That's
right. The stream's about to end, so I got to close out for Dave. It's SportsBKConsig on Twitter. Find him on Sports Grid TV and also listen to it live on SiriusXM channel 159. Austin versus the book, and also MLB TV sometimes on the network, MLB Network. Just check him out on Twitter, SportsBKConsig for all the details. Dave, great seeing you, buddy.
Thank you,
Hopefully I'll
boys.
see you Friday on Sports Grid TV.
Absolutely.
Teddy Covers.
See you boys later.
Prez, hey, Dave, don't be worried. Prez is back tomorrow. He's back in Canada. You're safe in Vegas. I'm Steve Merrill. I enjoyed filling in for the Prez. That's Teddy Covers. $2 Tuesday, Wager Talk, $3 Tuesday for 2bestbets, sportsmemo.com. Take us home, Teddy.
Sure. That's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Between now and then, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games. Best of luck with all your wagers.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.